All right, so I want to do this video real quick. So I've got the Arya Organic and I also got the HE1000 Stealth. And while I have this, I want to do a review just to kind of compare them and let you know what I think. Um, as far as the build quality, this is like obviously better than the Arya Organic. This is more expensive. One thing I like about this over the Arya Organic is the slide mechanisms that is used. They lock into place a little bit better. Where I feel like if you give a slight pressure on the Arya Organic, you can lose like your place or it'll snap into the next one, which I don't find that happening. I think it's a little bit more secure on the HE1000. As far as which one's heavier, I'm not sure what it says online, but just feeling it, this feels heavier. But this could actually end up being heavier. I don't know, but this does feel like it weighs more. I don't know why that is, but it does. It feels like it weighs a little bit more. So it's just going to depend because I know a lot of people may have neck injuries and all of that, and they're trying to figure out like what is going to be a little bit more comfortable. I feel like at least the way this feels a lot heavier than this. But they're both pretty heavy headphones, compared to a lot of other things that are out there. But they're lighter than the LCDX. As far as my initial impressions of both of these, when I first got the Arya Organics, and you got to think I had the Edition XS, the Edition XV, the LCDX, like all of that. When I first put on the Arya Organic, I was blown away, right? Because the soundstage was immense, and it was just like, wow, like you felt like you were in a cathedral listening to somebody sing. Like I will always say, you turn on Lana Del Rey, you turn on Whitney Houston. These Arya Organics are just a special treat. Like you would be just insane sound. Like the thing about them that I like is that the soundstage is just so wide, and then when the vocals hit, right? And just like and there's another song by Roy Sop. It's called What Else Is There by Roy Sop, right? I think it's like a European band or whatever. And in that song, like how the instrumental starts sounds really good on this, the Arya Organics. And then when the vocals hit, it's just like recessed perfectly. So it's almost like a three-dimensional effect that you get with the Arya Organics that I did not get with the LCD-X's, that I did not get with the Edition XS, that I do not get with the Edition XVs. Um, the first impressions of the HE1000 Stealth, when I first listened to the What Else Is There from Breaks Up, one thing I noticed is that the instruments were handled better, right? And I will say differently, not necessarily better, but differently. Like I felt like when the instrumental kicked on, you can kind of feel like the rounded edges of the like every part of the instrument with these. And I really enjoyed that. I was just like taken back. It gives you my first impression of this is like the instrument's very, very detailed, but I didn't feel that this was fatiguing like a lot of people would say. Like, oh, the HE1000 SC can be fatiguing. The HE1000, it's really bright. It's fatiguing. I think a lot of that comes down to the amps that you're using. And I'm not even using like my shit deck or nothing like that. I'm just using like my Fosse K7, right? And it's got like an AKM chip. And me personally, even like when I had the topping DX 3 or DX2, I think it was, I think that had like a Saber deck in it. I like the AKM chips. It's just me. Some people like the Saber chips, and I like the AKM chips. Um, to me, the thing with the HE1000 Stealth is this headphone catches you like when a song first starts, right? The instrumental. It's not just this song. It's Tina Turner, What's Love? Like when I listen to that song on here, it's just when the instrumental starts, it's like wow, right? And then when the vocals hit, it's like they're closer to you with a little bit more, I don't want to say depth, but a little bit more fullness to the vocals, right? So you get an illusion that you're gonna have like a fairly wide soundstage, not as wide as the Aria Organic, but you're gonna have a fairly wide soundstage in comparison to a lot of headphones. But then the vocals hit and they're closer to you. So to me, with quite a few songs that I listen to, Tevin Campbell, Can We Talk, just a lot, Lana Del Rey, Summertime, Video Games, Cinnamon Girl by Norman uh Rockwell, whatever. I don't want to say because it's got a bad word in it. Just a lot of different songs that I listen to. It's like you get the illusion of a soundstage is big, and then the vocals are pushed forward. Some people may like that. They may feel like, okay, well, I don't really have to necessarily listen too much for the vocals, right? It's just in your face, right? Kind of like if you like the Edition XV that I have, right? The Edition XV is going to give you the vocals kind of almost in your face, right? But it's wide, like let's just say ad libs. Like if a singer is singing, I feel like the Edition XV gives you a wide sensation when you hear an ad lib, or if a rapper's rapper and they saying something over the raps, you may hear that like out in the distance, like with the Edition XVs. Whereas the Edition, whereas the HE1000 Stealth, it's like all of that stuff is like kind of in your face, but the instrumentals and stuff like that is wide. The Arya Organic, I feel like it's just everything's wide, right? So when I go back to Tina Turner, "What's Love," or Roy Saab, but what else is there? Or Lana Del Rey, any one of these songs, right? Or even a rap track, Jeezy, Standing Ovation, and all these rap tracks, right? The thing about this headphone is that it's wider than a HE1000 Stealth, right? So you get that initial like this is a wide soundstage, right? And then when the vocals hit, right? When Tina Turner comes on, or when the lady from Roy Saab, when she comes on, it's wide, right? But it's pushed in, right? It's not as in your face, it's pushed in. So it's kind of accentuating the wideness, right? So it's like when Tina Turner kicks in, it's just smooth, right? Like it's perfectly within the space. Whereas I feel like the 1000s, they're just forward more, right? And it's a little jarring, and it's something that I think I would probably have to get used to. It's jarring when that happens. Um, but I can see how some people would like that. Me personally, when I'm listening to like a song or something like that with a Whitney Houston or something, when she hits those high notes, this is killer, right? The Aria Organics is just killer to me because it's just like everything that's on that wide stage is accentuated. And I feel like I'm in a concert hall listening to Whitney Houston and the passion and all of that. So in terms of if I'm listening to a singer sing, I prefer the Aria Organics over the HE1000s. And these are no slouch. These are like really good. Technically, they're supposed to be better than these. It's what I'm hearing. Like these are supposed to be better than these. But I think a lot of this is going to come down to what you prefer, not what's technically better, right? On a technicality, instrumentals sound better on these. You can tell like if the volume is cranked up to a decent volume. The Aria Organics will probably cause listening fatigue because there's more energy in the treble region than these after a while will cause listening fatigue just like the Aria Organics, but it would take a little bit longer because the treble region is more controlled on the HE1000s, right? Whereas like the Aria Organics is just it's a lot of energy. Sometimes like the cymbals at times can have maybe too much of a zing to it. Whereas this is just it's letting you hear the cymbal and like what's around the cymbal, but it's not the sound that can, cause fatigue. I don't feel like it's giving me that. This can do that at times. So I feel like longer listening sessions, this would be, easier to deal with. And another reason why, because the vocals are so recessed on the Aria Organic, are like warmer and like pushed back. I feel like you're gonna find yourself sometimes cranking up the volume to get more vocal if that's what you really want. If you're not just satisfied with the super wide sound, you want more vocal, you're going to crank up the volume. And when you do that, you're cranking up the treble, you're cranking up, the bass, all of that, because this is going to be more V-shaped than the HE1000. I feel like the HE1000 is V-shaped in comparison to the HE1000 SE. HE1000 SE, I feel like, is just extremely linear. Well, neutral, I should say, very neutral. And this is like a slight V. This is like a more accentuated V. So when you crank that volume up, you're gonna get more cymbals, more treble, I should say, and then you're gonna get more bass with this, unless you're like EQing and stuff like that. One thing I noticed, these do not take that well to EQ the HE1000 Stealth. They don't, in terms of bass. The bass, I feel like the original impression, I felt like the HE1000 bass was better controlled. But then I listened to these again, and I feel like the control of the bass, at least to me, to my ear, everybody's different. It's about the same, right? The difference is where I feel like the Arya Organic gets the advantage to me, what I like, is that this can do what this can, but this adds an element that this doesn't, which is the sub bass, right? And if you listen to hip hop tracks, EDM, and some songs that have sub bass, you will forget that it has sub bass if you listen with these. Whereas, like with the Arya Organics, when the sub bass hits, it's like, oh wow, right? I didn't know like there was some sub bass in there, right? There's a song by what's his name? 21 Savage. It's on one of his albums. I can't. Oh, here it is. Is it NHIE? Is the title of the album? 21 Savage, American Dream. I think it's called American Dream. One of these songs, it's got Doja Cat on it, right? And there is so much sub bass. These like, oh my god, these are amazing. Like listening to that song, and then Doja Cat's lyric, not her lyrics, but the way she sounds on the track. She like, at least this one, she is taking advantage of a wide soundstage with like her ad libs when she's, when the chorus hits, all of this, she's taking advantage of the soundstage, and this is just like wow, right? Because you got 21 Savage rap and all of that, and then she's coming in, right? Then she has like her verse in the song, and she's taking advantage of the soundstage, and then she starts rapping. I feel like this is just like, oh my God, right? And every time I hear that song with the Arya Organic, it's oh my God. When I put these on, it's like, oh, this is a good song. But this is more, oh my God. When I listen to Eminem, right? Eminem's got a couple of tracks, right? He's got Bad Guy. On the song Bad Guy, the HE1000, I hear a lot of mistakes with the recording. A lot of mistakes. Like you can hear that Eminem, whoever recorded him, like they, it wasn't good quality. You can hear that with this. And that could be a better thing in some situations, right? With the Aria Organic, the song Bad Guy sounds good. It kind of hides the mistakes a little bit better, right? So you get a chance to enjoy more of the song instead of like when the vocals hit and they're closer and you can hear the compression, or you can hear just static and like little things like with that song of Eminem's, whereas like this doesn't really give you that. Now, if you're mixing and mastering, these can help you with that. Whereas I feel like these can be good like with mixing and mastering dependent. Some people prefer to use these over LCDXs with mixing and mastering. but I feel like I heard a lot more mistakes with these. The song "Till I Collapse" with Eminem, way more like errors. Like if you listen to that song through these, you're gonna be like, why did they even put this song out? Like, because it's recorded very bad. Like so, like this like kind of ruins the song. This lets you hear that the recording is bad, but you can still kind of vibe to the music, right? And it's still, there's still things you can like about the song with this, right? With the Arya Organics, where this is just like this destroyed the song, which it's not the HE1000's fault. It's just like it's showing you what's wrong with the song. Um, Another song called Renaissance by Eminem. It's on the Death of Slim Shady. The Arya Organics destroy the HE1000s with that song because there's some sub bass in that song that you don't hear with these, that you hear with this, and it's just slight sub bass, and like the vocals and everything just sound better presented with the Arya Organic, where again I'm hearing the mistakes of the track with the HE1000 stealths. And like I said, some people may want to hear that, right? But some people may just want to sit down, relax, listen to a track, even listening to like older songs, right? Tupac, on the Gridlock soundtrack, he's got a song called "Never Had a Friend Like Me," right? The song sounds terrible on these, but when I pop on the Arya Organics, it's like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, this is an old track, but it sounds good, right? And this is what the Arya Organic is doing. There's a song by Z Money called "Dope Boy Cypher," right? When I cut that song on with this, it's just he's saying, it's a lot of ad libs. It's a lot of things he's saying like on the mic while he's rapping, before he starts rapping, all of that. You hear some of the stuff he's saying like pretty clear on here, and the ad libs and everything on here. I feel like you hear more of like the ad libs being accentuated and stuff like that throughout the space. So it's just, the song in itself, I feel like the instrumental, everything sounded better to me with the Arya Organic. Whereas like other songs, the instrumentals can sound better on the HE1000 Stealth, right? So to me, it's not a clear winner on, what's definitely going to sound better, because there's some songs that sound better on here and there's some songs that sound better on here. Uh, if I look at my Edition XV, I really like these for a number of reasons. One, I feel like I can listen to almost anything with these and they sound pretty good. Um, and like gaming on these are like next level. So even though I've got the Odyssey Maxwell 2s, I prefer to game on my Edition XVs. If I want the most detail and everything that I can get from the video game, believe it or not, I wouldn't go to the HE1000 Stealth, even though it's got pretty good imaging. I will go to the Arya Organic. One, imaging is not the base, right? But you're gonna get sub bass. You're gonna get a lot of things going on the in the field, like in Battlefield 6, and you get detail and you get pretty good imaging with the Arya Organics. Whereas this, I feel like I'm missing a big percentage of what this can give me, right? Even when I'm like tracking enemies and stuff like that, I hear some things, maybe certain cues and stuff may be clearer with different things, but this gives me a more balanced, wide soundstage. You see what I'm saying? Whereas this can be like some instrumentals, or, like kind of like with the song, but picture it with the game, like the instrumentals may be clear, right? But when the vocals hit and they're closer, it could be jarring and it could throw you off a little bit. So with gaming, I prefer uh actually the Edition XV over all of these. But if you want to just hear everything, I would prefer the Arya Organic, because I think this is probably the best headphone for gaming, heads down, if you just want to hear everything. But that could become fatiguing depending on if you're EQing or not, right? Me, I'll EQ a little bit, and then these I can deal with like for a longer period of time. But I can like run these Edition XVs like all day long, right? So it just depends on what you like. the one thing about the Edition XV that I feel like it loses to these, right, is timbre. I feel like these have a better timbre than the Edition XVs. And then I also feel like even with instruments, like when, if I'm listening to reggae, Shabaranks, a song called Don't Test Me by him, I feel like sometimes the cymbals may seem a little bit uh metallically hollow on these. And where these, it's just, this is like more energy in that region, and this is more refined in that region. So honestly, if you look at these headphones, it's going to come down to what you prefer. In my opinion, and this is me not being sponsored, this is me not having any relationship with HiFiMAN. I bought all of these headphones myself, right? And hey, please do, if you reach out to me and let me, send me some stuff, right? I've had the people know who on the channel, I've had the HE1000 SE, right? In my opinion, over all of the headphones that I've had with the HiFiMAN, I think the SC1000 SC, you're gonna get more detail, right? Out of all of these, right? But it just, a lot of that comes, I feel like, with, you're not gonna get much bass with those HE1000 SCs. Even if you EQ them, like, it's gonna kind of act almost as the HE1000 Stealth, to where it feels like you're trying to push the bass, right? Whereas these are effortless, right? And I feel like you can add whatever bass shelf you want to these, and you really don't even have to add anything. But if you wanted to add something, because I played around just for fun, just cranking the bass up and EQing it up, adding bass shelf, taking it away, even using it with the DAC and using its like settings. This just handles whatever you throw at it bass wise. This is the most bassy HiFiMAN I've ever heard, right? Bass doesn't always win the story, right? You want detail, you want mid-range. A lot of people who get into hi-fi, we like mid-range, right? Which is going to give you the better mid-range. I personally feel like there's more weight to the mid-range with these, but I feel like the warmth incorporated with the wider soundstage, much wider soundstage, I feel like these kind of take it for the mid-range for me, right? Where this is a little jarring when you relax and you listen to a wide soundstage, and then the vocals are like up in your face. This becomes a little jarring, right? Whereas I feel like the mid range and everything is just perfectly cohesive with the Arya Organic. Now, which one would I keep? Right, the Arya Organic, right? And the reason why I would keep the Arya Organic over the HE1000 SC, I feel like this, I think the build quality is kind of similar, other than these mechanisms, like the clipping mechanisms. I like them better on the HE1000 SC. Um, these look more expensive at first glance, but the more I look at these, the more I appreciate these, the Arya Organic. I always, even with these, like when I was about to just go and listen to music after I did like a YouTube video on my main channel, I couldn't wait to listen to these. Right, I'm gonna play a video game and I'm gonna listen to some headphones. I could not wait to put these on. With video games, I'm excited to put these on because I know I can just crank it up and I'm gonna get a lot of detail and I'm not gonna get fatigued. Right, and the treble's gonna be relaxed. These I feel like are just the perfect, like they can do, I would say 96% of what these can do. These can do, right? And I'm talking about the detail retrieval, the treble region, all of that. These can do probably 97% of what these can do. But these do 60% more than what these can do. So I'm weighing it out, right? 97% of the treble region of this, 60% more of bass than this, right? Because this is trying to be a little bit analytical, scared to make a mistake, all of that. this is more fun, right? So you have to ask yourself what kind of music you listen to, and are you trying to have a good time, right? And I feel like this is giving me a good time. It's giving me bass, a lot of it, whatever kind of bass I want, right? And then it's giving me a lot of impact. It feels more dynamic, right? Even though this can get dynamic, right? But this feels more dynamic. The only drawback of the organic is I feel like it's more fatiguing than the HE1000 SC. Like even like you would have to downshelf the treble on this. If you listening to it out the box, this is gonna fatigue you, right? But if you EQ it just a little bit, you're gonna get kind of what this would do, like in terms of listening to it for the same amount of time, right? Which I can't listen to the organics for the same amount of time as the HE1000. The I can listen to the Edition XVs all day long. I can't really listen to the Edition XS too long, right? It's too much. It's too bright, and I feel like that's what happens with the Arya Organic. But I'm willing to deal with that because I feel like all in all, like on the bigger scope of what I like, this is a BMW I'm gonna pull out of the garage once or twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. And by that time, my ears will settle, and I can deal with some, listening to this travel region. Sometimes I do want to, just leave it to where it was, you know what I mean? Like, and just, reset like the equalizer APO, whatever, and kind of leave this how it is out of the box because it sounds really good. But sometimes I do have to EQ it, to get, a comfortable, situation where I can listen to it at a higher level and then not get as fatigued. Whereas this, you're not going to really get as fatigued as this. So it's going to come down to what you like, what you prefer. I should have did this when I had the HE1000 SC. I'll get another one in and do it, right? But in my opinion, this is technically a better headphone if you're an audiophile and you want to hear the separation of sounds and instrumentals. This is what's going to win. If you listen to classical, this is going to win. When vocals are in a play, this wins. You know what I mean? And most of the time you're going to listen to, if it's a rap song, if it's a singer or something like that, vocals are in play, right? You listen to Fleetwood Mac or something like that, vocals are going to be in play. And I feel like they operate a little bit better with this headphone. You know what I mean? It's just my opinion. But y'all tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. Hype the video, like the video. YouTube gives you hype points. Let me get a couple of them. Let me know you still want me to do stuff like this. I'm keeping the Arya Organics. I'm keeping the organics. I do like these, but it can ruin music. Like it can. And not everybody, like even Eminem, right? People like that, they may be recording this stuff at home. Like the music that you hear on the radio and stuff like that may be recorded at their house. You know what I mean? And you can hear that with this. Whereas this is like it still keeps up the production and you can enjoy the music, right? It's just, and then it's a wider soundstage, and sometimes it feels like you just paid to sit and listen to music with this, and I feel like, yeah, I would do this again. You know what I mean? Like I would buy this again. That's how I feel with these. If I'm playing video games, that's how I feel with these. In video games, these are not that good. You know what I mean? These are like killer in video games. So that's my opinion on it. I like the design better too with the Arya Organic. The black with the the wood. I like the strap. I feel like looks better. I think this looks kind of older. You know what I mean? But some older people may like this look. But aesthetics is aesthetics. But how does it sound? I'm with the Arya Organic. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about that. Peace.